Hey there gang, Patrick King here, coming at you with another live Q&A session. So this question coming into us from Ashley, and that's a pretty interesting question. Ashley says, I have a horse that has no eyes, and I'm looking for some advice on where to start with some voice training. She was a serious show horse in her past, but not with me, and now obviously she's blind. She listens to your voice a lot, but she still runs into things. I'm trying to get her back under saddle and to trust me to be her eyes for her. Ashley, this is a super interesting question, and actually working with blind horses is something that I've done several times. It's probably once or twice a year I run into a horse around the country that either has vision problems or is completely blind. So super interesting that you sent this in. So knowing that this horse was a show horse at one point, when she had, assuming at this point when she had sight, that's going to, I think, make things a little bit easier for us. So assuming then, you know, she's had a bit of an education, she understands a bridle. I'm assuming at this point that this is a horse that was a show horse under saddle. So we're talking about a horse that does have some previous education, and through an accident, through an illness, something like that, has lost her eyes and therefore lost her sight. So what we're going to be talking about here is re-educating the horse to a better feel through the bridle or through the halter, and then educating that into the voice aids, as Ashley's talking about wanting to do with this horse. So really where I would go with this horse, and where I go with all of the horses that I work with that have the vision impairment, is we go directly to our in-hand work. Again, with this horse we can work in the bridle, maybe we might want to back down, work in the halter or in the cavesson for a while. This is a horse, because the vision is impaired, we're going to be working off of the audible aids, so our voice, and also off of the tactile aids, the physical touching aids. So this is something where, you know, in the in-hand work that we do, we use the whip aid against the body, a steady contact, as an aid to halt, to stop. That's something that's going to help this horse quite a bit. So we would use some sort of an audible cue, whatever you want to be, a whoa, a halt. I use the audible exhale, ah, a lot of times, as it was taught to me. Think about it as a big exhale with a steady contact for halt. I think that's the place I would start with this horse, is helping her to understand the halt cue or the stop aid. That's going to be a big one. And then from there, working basically as though she were a sighted horse, understanding that wherever you put your whip, she's not going to see it until it touches her. So you're going to be much gentler, much softer in your touches. Thinking of your whip then not as a chaser or a spanker, as some people might use the whip. I don't advocate using it that way anyway, but thinking of it more as a pointer, saying, think about this part of your body. I want to touch that spot on your body. Helping your horse to understand maybe the articulation of certain joints in one leg over another, or moving the rib cage, things like that. We want to be thinking about a lot of direct contact with the whip, with our hand, with the, in this case also the bridle, once we get back to that in our in-hand work, and then with the rider's legs when we're riding, when we do get her back under saddle. What I want to think about with that also is that the rider's leg aids, the rider's rein aids, the rider's seat aids, of course, they're going to be all this horse has to go by, because she's not a normal sighted horse. So we're going to want to really think about initiating first through that seat, supplementing with the leg and the rein aid, and we can also still supplement with the whip aid with this. Again, taking that whip with the same idea that we'd be taking it in hand, as it's a pointer, it's a supplement, it's a focus. It's not a chaser, it's not a beater, it's not a spanker, that sort of thing. Again, not that I advocate using the whip in that way anyway, but especially, particularly with a horse that's not sighted. So, so my best advice, Ashley, is to proceed kind of as normal, as I would normally advise you to proceed, but slower, softer, really making sure that your horse has lots of time to learn and figure these things out. I think you're going to be okay. All of the blind or sight impaired horses that I've seen in all of my travels, honestly, when you work with them this way, you wouldn't even know that they've got this challenge. So hopefully, Ashley, this is helpful to you. And hopefully for anybody else listening that might have a vision impaired or totally sightless horse, hopefully this is helpful to you as well. If you have a friend that might be interested in hearing this, please tag them directly in the comments below or share this video to their page or share this video with them so that they can get maybe a little bit of help that way. Let's do a question of the day. I haven't done one of those for a while. Let's see, question of the day. So we talked about the aids with Ashley's horse here. Which of the aids do you find that your horse responds best to? Seat, leg, rein, or whip aids when you're riding? Let me know that in the comment section below here. I'm super curious to read your answers. Don't forget, gang, if you have any questions, feel free, submit those. You can send them to us in the comment section below this video. You can send them directly to us here through our page in a message. Send a pigeon, send a fax, send us an email, anything like that. You feel free. Submit your questions. You keep asking questions, and I'll keep talking about horses. Thanks so much, gang.